Just live for tomorrow, or just live with yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my Blue Line reaction to Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. So yeah, this is a donation reward from Smurf Vlogs. Thank you, Smurf, for continuing to support me in the channel and everything. So yeah, we have Sonic the Hedgehog. I didn't think I was going to get to this soon, but I don't know. I've been on a kick of wanting to watch movies again, so I've been getting to these donation rewards a little quicker. So I apologize if I'm like catching up too quick or anything. Maybe I'll wait a little bit longer till the next one. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to get to this, and I'm kind of excited for this. Okay, let me give some background here. I grew up with Sonic games, but I was never a big fan of them. I didn't hate them by any means. No, I even say I liked them. I enjoyed them. But I was always bigger into Mario. I was always bigger into Pokemon. Sonic to me always felt like the less impressive younger sibling to those games. Mario always felt much more interesting and fun, and Pokemon always felt more whimsical and expansive. To me, Sonic just felt like, oh, he's a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog and he's fast. Whoop-de-fucking-do. It just never appealed to me that much. But I did play many of the games. I did watch multiple series. I've seen the Sad AM series. I've seen Sonic X, and so on and so forth. I just never really got into it that much. And honestly, it never left a huge impression on me like stuff like Mario and Pokemon did. But when I heard this movie was being made, my initial thoughts were honestly meh. And then when Jim Carrey was cast as Eggman, or Robotnik, or whatever you want to call him, my thoughts kind of went up a tiny bit because I like Jim Carrey as an actor. But at the same time, my thoughts were like, wait, why? Why him? Why Jim Carrey? How is he going to pull that off? Like, Jim Carrey is a good actor and everything, but I was almost expecting expect another Riddler. Because when Jim Carrey played the Riddler in, was it Batman Forever? I think it was Forever. Yeah, because I think Batman Returns was with Penguin. Maybe. No, Batman Returns I think was with Penguin and Catwoman. I think Batman and Robin was with Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, and I think it was Batman Returns with Two-Face and Riddler. Either way, Jim Carrey's portrayal of Riddler, while Jim Carrey acted well for, Jim Carrey, he was a terrible Riddler. And I honestly hate that movie. It's my least favorite Batman movie. Like, I prefer hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger's ice puns as Mr. Freeze to seeing Jim Carrey as Riddler. And whatever Tommy Lee Jones was trying to do as Two-Face. But yeah. I was kind of expecting it to be like that. To see this character kind of ruined. And mind you, unlike Riddler, it's like, yeah, Robotnik has always been kind of goofy and weird. But I just didn't see Jim Carrey playing him. Then I saw the first trailer, and it's like, oh, this actually looks like it could possibly be good. But it's hard to say. Now, I will say one thing right off the bat. I know there's an end credits scene to this movie, and I already know exactly what it is. So I have been spoiled on that. So it won't surprise me when I see it, if it's even in this copy. I don't even know. But it won't surprise me because I already know about it. Um, but that's pretty much all I know about the plot outside of what we saw in the trailer. I do want to talk real quick though about the style change. So when the trailer was first released, Sonic looked ridiculously bad. Like it was really bad. And it received so much backlash. The design received so much backlash that the studio actually changed it. They actually changed the design to make it more accurate to, well, what Sonic looks like. Um, which is wild to think about. And some people have even like had these conspiracy theories saying that, oh, they probably had the real design the entire time and used this bad design as some kind of like publicity stunt, which honestly, there's nothing to back that up, but still. Um, yeah, that was interesting. And I think when they announced that they were redesigning the character, and once we saw what the redesign looked like, that was the moment that I decided, you know what? They're going to listen to us. They're going to listen to our criticism and fix it. I'm going to see this movie. I want to see this movie now. Even if I'm not like fully interested in Sonic, I want to see this just because of that. And I just hadn't until now. It's not really through necessarily anyone's fault. I just hadn't. There were other things that I kind of prioritized, you could say, which I guess you could say is my fault, but um. So yeah, that was a really interesting turn of events that led to this, and I mentioned I hadn't seen this yet, I believe, in my rent reaction, and so Smurf decided to request this for his next, donation reward. And so here we are. So yeah, I don't know what to fully expect here. I don't really know much of anything about the story outside of what we saw in the trailers and all. Um, and I really don't know whether or not this is going to be good. I've heard a lot of people actually say this was surprisingly good, that it was better than they expected it to be. But I've also heard people say that it's what you would expect from a video game live action movie. So it's really hard to say. Uh, and I'm kind of on this interesting point with live action video game movies too, because I like more of them than most people. Um, but at the same time, I also understand some of the complaints. Like the Super Mario Bros. Movie is so trash and so hard to sit through. It's insane. It's not even fun trash. It's just trash. Um, I actually used to like it when I was younger, but I was younger back then. So to be fair, but at least it's still better than the last Airbender movie. So yeah, you got that going for you at least. But yeah, yeah. I'm just I don't know what to think going into this. The last video game movie I saw, I believe, was just Detective Pikachu, which I love, by the way. Detective Pikachu is like one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think I would still currently place it as my number one at the moment. And not necessarily because it's that great, although I do believe it is a really great movie. It's also because of admittedly nostalgia and shit, just because and just personal love for Pokemon. That just yeah. But anyways, so yeah, we're going to get into this and we're going to hope for the best. I'm hoping that this ends up being something more like Detective Pikachu and less like Super Mario Bros. More like the original Mortal Kombat movie and less like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, I'm just I'm hoping that it's good. And I expect it to be cheesy. I expect it to be goofy and ridiculous because it's Sonic, let's be honest. Um I'm just hoping that nonetheless it ends up being good. That's what's I think the most important to me, that it's good, that it's enjoyable, that I just have fun with it. And honestly, people are saying that Jim Carrey is the best part of the film, no matter if you like it or not. I'm really hoping that he's good as Robotnik. Um, the trailer, he looked good in the trailers, so I have hopes. But we'll have to see. Either way, like I said though, if you like I've said in the past, and I'll say again in this in this one, if you wish to donate, if you want to see me react to anything, you can donate via down below in the description. There's a link to my PayPal. Just donate on there. You can donate any amount. Any amount is fine. Doesn't matter how small. Doesn't matter how much you can at the moment, especially with the circumstances. Every donation will come with a donation reward, no matter how big it is. Um, and your reward can be a movie, it can be a series, it can be a YouTube video, it can be some kind of like short special, anything you want, really, like that. As long as I haven't seen it. And if you want an example list of all of those kind of things that I have not seen yet, you can find that list on my Discord, which is also linked in the description below. Just as some examples of things that you could request. Obviously, you don't have to stick to that, but if you have anything you would love to see me react to, that's how you do it. Because if you just try to request it generally, I could put it on my list for the future, but otherwise, there are other things that'll take priority. So, yeah. Either way, uh, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's just get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I'm just trying to get back into the post thoughts, and I'm already getting emotional. And not even because of the movie itself, ironically, but because I found out who Tails' voice was in this, and she is the current voice of Tails, like since 2014. But on top of that, I don't know why I'm getting emotional over this. I get emotional over the dumbest things. But she's a voice actress who has done a lot of roles from my childhood, really, growing up. The big ones for me being Ino Yamanaka from Naruto, who was always one of my favorite characters in Naruto. Even though I'm not like a huge fan of the series, especially when Shippuden comes along and overly complicates everything. But yeah, she voiced Ino. But probably even more of a big deal for me than that is that she was the voice of Sora from Digimon. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned her name, just to be sure. Yeah, and she's done a lot of other roles than just those, of course. Various other things I've heard her in. I think she's even been to Youmacon. So I think I have had a chance to meet her and just haven't, for whatever reason. But yeah, and again, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional over it. Just when I found out she voiced Sora, that's when it like hit me. And maybe it is because of how big a deal Digimon is to me, and how much like I grew up with it and how much I'm like getting into it again now, thanks to the 2020 reboots and the Cyber Sleuth game. Um, and I recently have rewatched the Digimon movies, so it's like I have heard her voice again. I just didn't put it together because obviously she's doing the Tails voice here, which yeah, she's great with. Um, but yeah, I don't know why that's like gotten me emotional, but let's actually talk about the movie here. So let's address what I've heard a lot of people say. A lot of people say, I mentioned this in the pre thoughts, that Jim Carrey is the best part of this movie. And I would say that's accurate. But I think it's also, I think by saying that, a lot of people are really just discounting how good this movie was. It's not the best movie, and I wouldn't even put it as the best video game adaptation, live action video game adaptation. I would still give that to Detective Pikachu. And I'd even possibly put Mortal Kombat before that, um, though that one's a little more debatable. But I would say this is right up there in the same range as Mortal Kombat. Um, by the way, I am super excited for when the new live action Mortal Kombat comes out. It's going to be so good. They're going to have the fatalities. It's going to be a hard R and have some great actors in it. But okay, I can't get too distracted by that. um, but yeah, this movie was good. And while Jim Carrey was definitely the best part of it, if that's your takeaway from the movie, if that's really the one thing you take away from it, you're just you've missed so much about it. And yeah, did this movie have some just cliche stuff in it and some ridiculous things that happen? Some humor that was maybe a little dumb. Yeah, of course, but that was expected. We if you hear that there's going to be a live action Sonic movie, you're going to expect cliches. You're going to expect it to be a little silly. You're going to expect it to have that cheesy kind of humor. Like honestly, that's what you should expect. And as I said in the pre thoughts, I did grow up with Sonic. I was never the biggest fan compared to some people, but I did grow up with Sonic. I watched multiple shows. I played multiple games. And while the more recent stuff I have not checked out, like Sonic Boom or whatnot, I do know these characters. And honestly, I I said in the reaction, I would love there to be a sequel, to see more of these characters. To see, well, obviously Tails, who is definitely set up as sequel bait at the end here. But you know who else I would love to see? Knuckles. I would love to see Amy. I would love to see Rouge the Bat. Hell, I mean, if you really want to go wild, bring in Vector for whatever reason. But there's like so much possibility, and that would be a good point to like even bring if they bring in Knuckles. Obviously, you would bring up the Chaos Emeralds, and that could bring in Supersonic. If they do make a sequel, I don't think they should go for Shadow. Like, I think that would still be a little too quick. I think they would want to introduce a lot of other stuff before Shadow. Um, but yeah, that's like a possibility for the future. And I don't know what their plans are. I don't know if they have any plans to make any more, but I think they should. Like, here's the thing. When I saw Detective Pikachu, I saw it and I'm like, I would like to see more live action Pokemon movies from these people. But I would also be fine if they didn't, because this felt like a complete story. There wasn't really much of any sequel bait. It felt like it did what it needed to do. But with this, with Sonic, it feels like, oh yeah, this was just the beginning. They don't introduce everything that Sonic fans would know. There's a lot of things that are missing and that could be brought in. They tease a sequel with two pivotal scenes at the end with both Robotnik and Tails. It's very obvious that they want to make another one. And I am so game for that. The comedy in this really helped drive it, and as a Sonic movie should. If you're going to have anything Sonic based, like a game with a story based game, I should say, um, a a TV series, an anime, a movie, whatever, comics, I guess, because there are Sonic comics. You definitely want the comedy to be a big driving point. It's always been a big thing with Sonic, and I just feel like that's what it should have a lot of. And this movie had a lot more. It had great heart. It had great action. It had some really interesting lore stuff. Like I don't think the rings did that in any of the games, though. I haven't played some of the more recent games. I haven't checked out more recent shows or whatnot, so I don't know for sure. But I don't think I've ever seen the rings be able to do that before. Have like portals and shit. And I don't remember the owl at all. I definitely don't remember that if that was ever in any of these stories. But yeah, I think that there was just a lot to love with this. The acting was good. The characters were well written. And again, there was a lot of really good humor. Um, the pacing is a little weird, but almost in an okay way. Because the thing is, the pacing felt very fast. Like it was like it just Sonic like was introduced to like he had that connection with Tom really early. Things connected really early, and it just felt like it was going really quickly. But at the same time, it almost feels like that works, considering again it's Sonic. So, um, it almost feels like it just makes sense that that would be the case. Um, so that's really interesting in and of itself. That the pacing feels fast, but you almost don't mind. Um, and there's a couple moments where it's like, oh yeah, there's definitely some issues with that, and it's like, okay, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. Like, big example when Sonic and Tom were at the bar, and everyone was just kind of saying like, oh, is this your kid? Is he wearing a mask? And it's like, really? It's like people like are mistaking that. It just felt a little off that that kind of mistake would be made, and that kind of thing's been done in different shows and series and whatnot, where it's like, oh, this like is this weird alien creature or whatever is just kind of weird looking. Are they wearing some kind of mask or costume? It's like, really? That's the conclusion you've come to looking at that? Okay. But again, I feel like it works a little better for this because again, it's Sonic. It's supposed to be goofy and weird and a little unbelievable. So I can give it a pass. Um, Robotnik as a character, I don't think Robotnik was ever as goofy as this. He was always kind of goofy and weird and a little ridiculous, maybe, but I definitely think that they, of course, with Jim Carrey playing him, he's Jim Carrey, so he's going to play the character as Jim Carrey would play the character. Luckily, his goofiness never felt out of place. Unlike with Batman, where he played the Riddler, that felt out of place. This time, it felt more natural. He felt more like it felt more like it fit in with everything, and I really didn't mind it that much. Plus, we still got to see how intelligent he was. Even throughout his ramblings and shit, he did show that he was still very, very intelligent, which is good because outside of just like showing the robots and stuff, like yeah, you want to see him being shown as smart enough to build those robots. So yeah, I did like that. I did like his character. Um, uh, as I said when it happened, like the humor centering around the sister and everything was some of the best humor in the movie. And that's not knocking the other humor, the rest of the comedy, but it's like that, especially after she gets tied up and they're just talking around her and everything, and she's like being sassy as hell, and it's like, oh my god, this is just wonderful. um, yeah, I just really found that just really funny. The little girl was really fucking cute, and it's like, yeah, I had fun. I had fun with this. Um, the only thing I could even nitpick here um, is the cop thing, which I mentioned in the reaction. And I'm not going to go all into detail because I could probably talk forever on this. I'm not going to do that to you guys. But with the state, I know this came out like last year or whenever, but with the state that we're currently in politically, with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything, and especially with the Breonna Taylor case, it's just it's hard to watch anything where cops are put into a good light. It is. It just really is. Um, an example, I've been watching Let's Play of a game called Tell Me Why, which recently came out, which is it's a big game that was released by Don't Nod, the same company that did Life is Strange, and it's one of the main characters is trans in it, and there's a big deal about that, and it's got great representation. But it also tries to make you sympathize for a cop character and even side with him, and it's like, especially in a game that has such a focus on a transgender character, it just feels really like bad taste, just bad taste. In this, especially with the fact that it was made and came out before all of this happened and everything, I can excuse it a little bit. Plus, it's a comedy and it's honestly a fantasy, so it's like it's very much removed from a lot of that reality, a lot of the real life issues and stuff. But still, it's like it's a little hard. It's a little hard. Um, I won't say that I won't say that it really hinders the film. I won't say that it really hurts like my enjoyment of it. I still very much enjoyed the film, but it does come to attention just because of the current climate we're in with all of that. So it is just something I just instantly think about. And I just wanted to mention it briefly. Um, but yeah, I liked Tom and Sonic's relationship, how it grew, and how Tom, he's like this nice guy, and he agrees to help Sonic at first, and then eventually he's almost kind of guilted into helping him further. But at the same time, it doesn't take much convincing because he genuinely does is care about people. He's genuinely a good guy. So the relationship always felt very real in that way. I also love the relationship between Tom and his wife. I cannot remember her name for the life of me right now. But they are just the cutest fucking couple. Like they are just great. Um, yeah, and I had not even heard anything about her character. I don't even think she was shown in the trailers, was she? At least not that I can remember. I did not know her character existed. Like honestly, I expected them to go with the trope that there was going to be a love interest that he was going to try to woo and that Sonic would help him with that throughout the movie. And I'm really surprised and actually very glad that they didn't go with that trope because I've always found that trope a little much. No, instead he's already very happily married to a very beautiful and supportive and just really funny and caring person. And it's like awesome, cool. um, Robotnik's assistant didn't really amount to much. I guess you could consider that a nitpick too. It's like he's there throughout most of the film, and then basically once the part with San Francisco starts, he's just gone. He's just not there anymore. In fact, I think the last scene of his in the movie, it was when he was bringing the latte to Robotnik, and then he's just never seen again. So it's like, what happened with him? Like it just feels like that was kind of dropped suddenly. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but it just that could be a nitpick too. It does again. It doesn't hurt the movie for me, but it's just like, eh. What happened with it? I don't know. But yeah, I definitely did enjoy this. Honestly, a lot more than I thought I would. And like I said, I would love there to be a sequel. I would love to see Knuckles. I would love to see Amy and Rouge and more of Tails. Hell, maybe they could even bring in Metal Sonic. I think they could work that out. Having Robotnik create Metal Sonic and having that be like kind of a big antagonistic force in the second movie. I could see that. So yeah, it's just I can't wait to see where this goes. Um, I guess another thing you could say that was never really touched on, by the way, was the stuff at the beginning, like the ones that were attacking little Sonic and the and his adoptive mother. Like we never really got any answers for that, so maybe a second movie could expand on that too. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, anyway, uh, thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you to Smurf Vlogs for choosing this as his donation reward. I very much enjoyed this. And if you have any other suggestions, I know you were thinking about having me react to the Jackson 5 movie. Uh, if and when you want to donate to suggest that, feel free. And if anyone else wishes to donate, once again, link to my PayPal is in the description below. And if you want some ideas on stuff that I could react to, I have a list on my Discord, which is also linked to in the description below. But you don't have to stick to that. You can suggest anything, and as long as I haven't seen it, I can put it on the list. So thank you so much for tuning in and continue to support the channel. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.